Hello, I am an author. I write under the name D. L. Randolph. Today I will be doing a reading of my book titled Sam, Why I Became a Murderer. This book is fictional and you can also find it on Amazon.com. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it. Thank you. Introduction. Sam Robinson had a difficult life growing up as a young child, teenager, and an adult. Nevertheless, Sam was happy until one day the horrible truth was revealed. Sam grew up uncertain about what path to follow when it came to marriage and raising a family. In spite of everything, Sam continued to succeed regardless of what life had to offer. Until the night Uncle Nathan called Sam to his bedside. That was the night Sam learned the answer to unanswered questions from the past. The moral to the story? The truth does not always set you free, but it can reveal who you really are as a person. Chapter 1. My name is Sam Robinson. I was born on a windy and rainy Friday morning in November, 25 years ago. That morning, the trees were howling in the wind, with thick black clouds covering the sky and wet leaves blowing throughout the neighborhood. My Uncle Nathan and Aunt Patrice received custody of me on the day I was born. They raised me. A drunk teenage driver left the scene of the accident that killed my parents, along with two other innocent people. My mother gave birth to me during the accident. After learning the truth about my birth, I wished I had died along with my parents. I once was a law-abiding citizen with a job as a law clerk, working at my uncle's law firm. Just like most people, I had hopes and dreams of one day getting married and raising a family. That is, until 1 month ago, when I found out about the lies behind the hidden truth of my birth. These lies caused me to seek revenge on people from my past, to murder those who insisted on getting behind the wheel of a vehicle while under the influence. I aim to prevent what happened to me from ever happening again. My Aunt Patrice died last year from pneumonia. Uncle Nathan has since been diagnosed with terminal cancer. He decided to tell me the truth about the day I was born. My uncle was weak because he waited too late to see the doctor. It was just a matter of time before the cancer consumed his whole body. However, he chose to stay home to die instead of going into a hospice facility. It was a Friday night, and he called me to his side to tell me the truth about my birth. Sam, Uncle Nathan called in a subdued voice as I walked past his room. Yes, Uncle? Uncle is how I always addressed him ever since I could talk. Sam, I need you to look in my closet on the floor and bring me the safe. I removed my aunt's old worn shoes and slid back her clothes that were hanging on the wooden rod. It has been a year, and Uncle still will not get rid of my aunt's belongings. I finally found the box with a safe inside and took it to my uncle. Here it is, Uncle. There is a lock on the safe. Do you remember the combination? Of course. It is the month and day Patrice and I got married. 0622. As Uncle unlocked the safe, I looked inside. There was a box of cassette tapes, a cassette player in this original box. There were several manila envelopes with different handwritten dates. There was also a thick black journal. What is all this stuff, Uncle? These are personal effects about your past. There are tape recordings and a journal your father kept about his life with your mother. The day he found out your mom was pregnant with you, he wanted you to know how he and your mother met, how he proposed, along with pictures on the day you were born. Samuel's plan was to one day sit down with you and share these memories as a family. What? Why are you just now showing these things to me? I asked in a somewhat angry tone. I wasn't ready before now for you to learn the truth about the night you were born. What is so terrible about the night I was born that you had to keep these things from me? The truth is too painful for me to even tell you. I am hoping by the time you finish going through each one of these items, I will be with Patrice. The only reason I am showing you these things to you now is as I am dying. I do want to say I am sorry for what you are about to learn. Sam, I would like for you to grant me one wish. Do not read the sealed letter addressed to you until after my death. Please promise me. I promise, Uncle. I took the box of things to my room and sorted them out by dates. There were so many cassette tapes with dates and times for each occasion. The dates on the envelopes began with my birth. I decided to read my dad's journal first because it began with the date Dad first met Mom. On the cover of the journal was a glued wedding photo of my mom and dad. Mom was so beautiful in her white gown, and Dad is smiling as if he had just won $1,000,000. The pages were filled with neatly handwritten words and a day of the week written in the title. Dad even wrote out their conversation. The first entry of the journal was titled, "The Day I Met Sandra Brown, Sunday." I knew Sandra in high school, but we were not friends at the time. It was not until after college that we began dating. Our meeting at that time was simply by accident. We saw each other at a church service. It was a church revival with different choirs performing, and we both were in separate choirs. After service, Sandra headed to the church parking lot to her vehicle. She recognized me as I walked past her, standing next to her vehicle. That is how it all began, with the sound of a sweet voice saying my name. "Hey, excuse me, is your name Samuel Robinson?" Sandra yelled as I walked by. "Yes," I said as I turned around to see who was calling. The first entry in the journal was titled, "The Day I Met Sandra Brown, Sunday." I knew Sandra in high school, but we were not friends at the time. It was not until after college that we began dating. Our meeting at that time was simply by accident. We saw each other at a church service. It was a church revival with different choirs performing, and we both were in separate choirs. After service, Sandra headed to the church parking lot. She recognized me as I walked past her standing by her vehicle. This is how it all began, with the sound of a sweet voice saying my name. "Hey, excuse me, is your name Samuel Robinson?" Sandra yelled as I walked by. "Yes," I said as I turned around to see who was asking. "By the look in your eyes, I take it you do not recognize me." "You look familiar, but to tell you the truth, no," I said with somewhat of an embarrassed look. "We went to high school together? I am Sandra Brown." "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you. Your hair is different, and you are not wearing those cute glasses you used to wear." I changed my hairstyle in college and switched to contact lenses. "I did not know you sang. You have a beautiful voice. I love your solo of 'I Come to the Garden Alone.' That's one of my old-time favorites," she said with a cute laugh. "Thanks. I sing a little bit. How have you been doing?" "Doing great. What about you?" "I can't complain. Hey, I am on my way to get something to eat. If you are not busy, would you like to join me for a late lunch?" "I would love to," a smiling Sandra responded. After our first date, we dated regularly for 6 months, and then I decided to pop the question. The marriage proposal, Saturday. It was a warm summer night on the moonlit beach. The two of us looked for the perfect spot to set up our blanket and dinner basket. "What do you think, babe? Is this a good spot?" I asked. "I think it is perfect, right in front of the full moon," Sandra said. I spread out the blanket and set up plates and utensils, then fixed our plates. Sandra blessed the food. I loved doting on Sandra because I truly loved her. After we ate, Sandra packed everything away. I took out 2 pillows for us to lay our heads as we looked up at the stars. "The sky is so clear tonight. Look at how bright the stars shine." "Hey, look! The Big Dipper and Little Dipper, I said, pointing towards the sky. It's amazing how God created such a beautiful world for us to live in, Sandra said, looking up in the sky as the stars and moon while clutching my hand. I turned toward Sandra, lying on my side with my left arm holding my head up with my right hand. I reached over and touched Sandra on her cheek. I held her chin up while looking into her eyes, singing "Will You Marry Me" by John Barry. Sandra told me I had a beautiful voice. As I continued to sing, I took Sandra's hand and helped her to stand. Still singing, I got down on one knee and reached into my pocket. I pulled out a small box at the end of the song. I opened the box and presented a ring as I looked into Sandra's eyes. "Samuel, I don't know what to say." "You can say yes. You can't agree to be my wife," I said as I stood up to hear Sandra's answer. "Yes, I will marry you, Samuel. I love you," she said as she held out her left hand so I could place the ring on her finger. I placed the ring on her finger, then we kissed passionately under the moonlit sky and bright stars. Sandra wanted a small wedding because her mother and father died 2 years previously, and she was an only child. 3 months after the proposal, Sandra and I married in a small chapel, my brother Nathan and his wife Patrice as our witnesses. 3 years later, Sandra became pregnant with our first child. I turned to the last page of the journal. The night before the accident, there was only a title about Thanksgiving with my uncle and aunt. The date and time entry is a few hours before I was born. I needed to ask Uncle what happened the last time he had dinner with my parents. I needed to know what their final hours as a family were like. I went to my uncle's room to ask about the last night that he saw my parents alive. "Uncle, I need you to tell me about the last time you saw my parents alive." It was hours prior to the accident, and Patrice and I was having Thanksgiving dinner with Samuel and Sandra. "The last conversation I had with your mother and my brother is a memory I will never forget," Nathan said in a weak and feeble voice while reciting every word from that night. "Sandra, your baby is due in 2 weeks. You still don't know what you are having?" Patrice asked. "No, Samuel and I want to be surprised. These new technologies take the fun out of having a baby these days," Sandra said, patting her stomach. "I would rather be surprised," Samuel said, reaching over to pat Sandra's stomach. "Oops, the baby just kicked," Sandra said, smiling while looking at Patrice and me. "See, the baby agrees with us," Samuel said, laughing. "Have you at least decided on a name?" Patrice asked. "If it is a boy, we've decided to name him after Samuel. But if it is a girl, we have 2 names. I want to name her Samantha, but Samuel wants to name her Charlotte." "Well, brother, I like Samuel and Samantha. This way your name will still live on because Samantha could still be called Sam for short. Remember the show with the witch named Samantha? They called her Sam for short," I laughed. "Oh yeah, what was that show?" Sandra asked with no response to a question from any one of us. "You're right. That could sway me, but I still like Charlotte. Besides, I think the baby is a boy anyway because of the way it acts when I am around. You see, it did not move this entire night until Daddy reached over to touch Mommy's stomach," Samuel said as we all laughed. "Hey, Patrice, it is getting late. We better get going. I have to get up early," I said as I collected our coats and umbrella. "I didn't realize how late it is. The rain is starting to come down," Samuel said.